Cristiano Ronaldo has spent more than 2 decades proving people wrong. Every time critics said he was finished, he responded with goals. Every time people questioned his place among football's elite, he delivered another historic moment. But tonight feels different, because for the first time in this World Cup, the biggest question isn't whether Ronaldo can score, it's whether Portugal can succeed with him leading the line. After a disappointing draw against DR Congo, pressure is building. The fans are frustrated, the media are asking difficult questions, and standing in Portugal's path tonight is a fearless Uzbekistan side with nothing to lose and everything to gain. So the question is simple: can Cristiano Ronaldo silence the critics once again, or are we about to witness the beginning of the end of Portugal's World Cup dream? Coming into the tournament, Portugal were considered one of the strongest contenders for the World Cup, a squad packed with talent, world-class defenders, elite midfielders, creative attackers, and of course, one of the greatest footballers in history. But their opening match against DR Congo raised more questions than answers. Portugal dominated possession with an incredible 75.4% of the ball. On paper, that sounds impressive. In reality, it exposed a major problem. Despite controlling the game almost entirely, Portugal managed only 7 shots and just 1 effort on target. 1. For a team expected to challenge for the World Cup title, those numbers are alarming. João Neves gave Portugal the perfect start with an early goal. Everything looked comfortable, everything looked under control. Then the momentum disappeared, the tempo slowed, the attack became predictable, and eventually João Neves punished them with an equalizer. Suddenly, what should have been 3 points became a frustrating draw. Now Portugal entered this match under pressure. Not panic, not crisis, but pressure. Because another slip-up changes everything. And that's where things get interesting. While Portugal are dealing with expectation, Uzbekistan arrive with freedom. Their opening match against Colombia ended in a 3-1 defeat. But the scoreline doesn't tell the full story. This wasn't a team overwhelmed by the occasion. This wasn't a team simply happy to be here. Uzbekistan showed courage, they showed ambition, and most importantly, they showed they can hurt opponents. Abusbek Fayzulayev scored the nation's first ever World Cup goal. A historic moment, one that instantly transformed this team from tournament newcomers into believers. Yes, they lost, but they left the pitch convinced they belong at this level. And sometimes belief is more dangerous than quality, especially against a favorite already feeling pressure, which creates the first major question of tonight. Will Portugal respond like a genuine contender, or will Uzbekistan sense vulnerability and attack it? This game is fascinating because stylistically these teams couldn't be more different. Portugal will likely line up in their familiar 4-2-3-1 system, a structure designed around control, possession, territory, patience. Everything begins with João Neves and Vitinha. These two midfielders dictate rhythm, they control tempo, they decide when Portugal accelerate and when they slow the game down. Ahead of them sits Bruno Fernandes, the creative heartbeat, the player capable of unlocking defenses with one pass, the player most likely to create something from nothing. And here's where the tactical battle becomes intriguing. Uzbekistan know they cannot dominate possession. They know they cannot engage Portugal in an open football match. So expect a compact 3-4-2-1 defensive block, 3 center backs, crowded central areas, limited space between lines. The goal is simple: deny Bruno Fernandes room to operate, force Portugal wide, and make every attack predictable. Against DR Congo, Portugal struggled when opponents defended deep. Tonight, Uzbekistan will attempt the exact same approach. The difference is what happens when possession changes. Because Uzbekistan's greatest weapon isn't defending, it's transition. Every time Portugal push forward, gaps appear behind their fullbacks. João Cancelo loves attacking, Nuno Mendes loves attacking, and when both advance simultaneously, space opens. Dangerous space. That's where Fayzulayev becomes crucial. His acceleration, his dribbling, his ability to carry the ball at speed. Those qualities could transform defensive situations into counter-attacking opportunities within seconds. Portugal will dominate the ball. Everyone expects that. But the real battle isn't possession. It's what happens after possession is lost. Can Portugal stop Uzbekistan's transitions? Or will those moments become the story of the night? While most headlines focus on Ronaldo, the most important player might actually be Bruno Fernandes. His numbers are remarkable: 3 goals, 3 assists. In his last 6 appearances for Portugal, 29 international goals, 26 international assists. Those are elite figures. But statistics only tell part of the story. Bruno is Portugal's connector, the bridge between midfield and attack, the player constantly searching for gaps. the player constantly demanding the ball. Against a compact defense, creativity becomes priceless. And if Portugal are going to break Uzbekistan down, Bruno will likely be involved. Watch where he positions himself. Watch how often he drifts between midfield and defense. Watch how Uzbekistan respond, because if they can't contain Bruno Fernandes, this game could become very long for them. But if they successfully isolate him, Portugal's attack may once again look surprisingly ordinary, and that's a scenario nobody expected before this tournament started. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, Cristiano Ronaldo, because every discussion surrounding Portugal eventually returns to him. Against DR Congo, Ronaldo struggled. He failed to influence the game. He rarely threatened goal. His movement lacked sharpness. His touches felt limited, and almost immediately, the criticism began. Should he still start? Is Portugal building around a player whose best years are behind him? Has Roberto Martinez become too loyal to his captain? These questions are everywhere, but football has a funny way of creating opportunities for redemption, and tonight might be Ronaldo's, because regardless of age, regardless of criticism, Ronaldo remains dangerous. His positioning remains elite. His aerial ability remains elite. His finishing remains elite. Give him service. Give him chances. And he can still decide football matches. The problem isn't Ronaldo scoring. The problem is creating opportunities for Ronaldo to score. That's where Portugal struggled against DR Congo. And that's what must improve tonight. The pressure is enormous. Because every missed chance fuels the narrative. Every quiet moment creates more doubt, and every minute without impact increases scrutiny. But if Ronaldo scores, everything changes. The headlines change, the conversation changes, the mood changes. That's the power of a player whose career has been built on proving people wrong. While Ronaldo attracts global attention, Uzbekistan have heroes of their own. Let's start with Eldor Shomurodov, the captain, the leader, the all-time top scorer. 93 caps, 44 goals. His role tonight is critical. He may spend long periods isolated, he may touch the ball infrequently, but every time Uzbekistan break forward, Shomurodov becomes the reference point. His hold-up play allows teammates to advance. His aerial ability creates opportunities. His experience provides composure. Then there is Faizullayev, perhaps the most exciting player in Uzbekistan's squad, the man who scored their historic first World Cup goal. Quick, fearless, creative, every counterattack will likely run through him. And here's an important detail. Portugal's defense looked vulnerable whenever transitions occurred against DR Congo. If Faizullayev receives space in open grass, Portugal could face serious problems. One moment, one run, one mistake. That's all it takes at World Cup level. Forget Ronaldo versus Kusanov, forget Fernandes versus Shukurov. The most important battle may actually be psychological, because Portugal are expected to win. Uzbekistan are expected to lose. That changes everything. Pressure affects decision-making. Pressure affects confidence. Pressure affects finishing. Portugal know the consequences of failure. Uzbekistan don't. The longer the match remains level, the more nervous Portugal become. The crowd starts reacting. Players start forcing passes, attacks become rushed, mistakes increase, and suddenly the underdog starts believing. That's why the first 30 minutes could define the entire match. If Portugal score early, they settle down. If Uzbekistan survive, anxiety grows. And anxiety can be more dangerous than any tactical weakness. Let's explore the three most likely outcomes. Portugal score early, Uzbekistan are forced to open up, Bruno Fernandes finds space, Pedro Neto stretches the defense, Ronaldo receives better service, the quality gap becomes visible. Portugal win comfortably, 2 or 3 goals, confidence restored, crisis avoided, the game stays scoreless, frustration increases. Uzbekistan become more organized, counterattacks grow more dangerous. A single defensive mistake changes everything. Suddenly Portugal are chasing the game, and the pressure becomes unbearable. Portugal dominate possession, Uzbekistan defend compactly, opportunities arrive slowly, eventually Portugal's superior quality breaks through. But it won't be easy, and it won't be comfortable. Can Ronaldo still dominate a World Cup match? Can Bruno Fernandes unlock a packed defense? Can João Neves control midfield again? Can Faizullayev punish Portugal on the counter? Can Uzbekistan survive the opening half hour? Will Roberto Martinez adjust tactically if things go wrong? And perhaps most importantly, what happens if Portugal don't win? Because that question hangs over everything tonight. Every pass, every shot, every decision, every minute. The ranking gap says Portugal should win. The talent gap says Portugal should win. The experience gap says Portugal should win. But football has never been played on paper. Portugal enter this match carrying expectation. Uzbekistan enter carrying belief, and belief can be dangerous. Still, over 90 minutes, Portugal's quality should eventually prevail. Bruno Fernandes looks poised to influence the game. João Neves should control midfield, and Ronaldo will have opportunities. The prediction? Portugal 2, Uzbekistan 0. But the scoreline isn't the most important thing. The performance is. Because Portugal aren't just fighting for 3 points tonight. They're fighting for confidence, they're fighting for momentum, and perhaps, most importantly, they're fighting to prove that this generation can still deliver when the pressure is highest. And here's the twist. Even if Portugal win tonight, the biggest questions won't disappear, because a victory only postpones the ultimate test, the knockout rounds, the elite opponents, the moments where every weakness is exposed. Can Ronaldo still lead Portugal deep into a World Cup? Can Roberto Martinez solve the attacking problems? Can Bruno Fernandes carry this team when it matters most? Or is a much bigger challenge waiting just around the corner? Tonight could provide answers, or it could create even more questions. And that's exactly why the entire football world will be watching.